the ICE protests continued, and the media is egging them on. The media is trying to do their best to try to make sure that they continue because they, again, like this news cycle. They think it works out. And one of the leaders of the protest now is Don Lemon, formerly of CNN. Don Lemon went to interview a church pastor after he was apparently accused of helping ICE.
Yeah, but listen, we live in there's a constitution and the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me though.
We're here to worship Jesus.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. That's why we're here.
Okay.
That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding and
we're about
love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them?
No one is willing to talk.
It's unbelievable. He comes allegedly as a citizen journalist, but he's following the ICE protesters into a church. You know, there's a thing called the FACE Act, which we have, which is theoretically prohibits you from protesting inside of religious worship, and you're not allowed to use threats of force, which obviously these ICE protesters have been violent in the past. You're not allowed to physically obstruct. It's pretty clear-cut stuff. So let's see if there are any consequences for Don Lemon on this. I like when they make examples of these people, and I'm pro-citizen journalism, and people these days, if you're public, I'd be able to answer questions. But you can hear the music playing. It's in the middle of the worship. Don Lemon's in there following ICE protests. I shouldn't even be laughing. It's amazing that we've gotten to this point, that people feel like this is something that is appropriate behavior for not just a journalist, but as an activist. And you can see that the mask is really slipping. You see CNN anchors. Abilio James Acosta was a White House reporter for CNN for years. Don Lemon was considered a neutral journalist. These guys are out there and they're accusing Trump of all sorts of crimes, as if Trump is the one who should be going to jail of some sort. That there need to be mass prosecutions and national reconciliation because Trump is such a bad boy. That's what one former CNN anchor is doing. And the other CNN anchor is showing up along with the ICE rioters to interrupt a church service because they don't like the pastor, because the pastor thinks that maybe the best thing for my congregation and my community is if we restore immigration and custom laws. If we actually make things a little easier for people who are law-abiding, tax-paying citizens to exist in this environment and not have to worry about the fact that there's massive immigrant fraud, a fraud ring, particularly of Somali migrants, taking place in our hometown, in our backyard. It's a really interesting Rorschach test. Are you on the side of the people who are trying to enforce our immigrations and custom laws, or are you on the side of the people who are starting the leering centers with no children?